How about those Chiefs? G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to my NFL week number 11 picks. And that means that next week is week 12. It's the week I go over to watch some NFL for the first time in my life. I'll be at the Rams and Eagles game and the Chargers and Ravens, as well as some NBA. So really looking forward to some time off and making some USA content. But as for the week just gone, week number 10, fittingly, I got 10 out of 14. I did end up getting 4 games wrong. I did pick a couple of upsets, which I was happy with. The Steelers, I had them by 3. They ended up winning by 1, but they were an upset win against Washington. Just had a feeling that Steelers defense has been playing well and they were able to get the job done. Big upset, the Saints with the sacking of the new coach. We love that sort of voodoo hoodoo. I didn't pick that one. Only 5% of people picked that. And the Dolphins, I was very surprised that the Miami Dolphins put in a great performance against Buffalo, but they were able to replicate it and maybe even better against the Los Angeles Rams. So, yeah, a few upsets there. Chicago Bears absolutely flogged by the New England Patriots, and I guess it was 50-50 over there in Germany, but Carolina are looking all right. But let's get into this week number 11 picks. First up, it is the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Washington Commanders. And both NFC teams have been really good this year. I feel like Washington have been the better team, which surprises me that they don't go in as favourites in this one, I guess, being at Philly. But it's going to be a great game between both these sides. Jalen Hurts up against Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels is having a fantastic season, and Jalen Hurts is having a pretty good season with Saquon Barkley. So there are some tough units to stop for the Eagles for this Washington defense. But we've seen how good they can be this year, especially against the Baltimore Ravens about a month ago. As for this game, I thought it would be an upset. It's not an upset because Washington are actually underdogs. I'm actually going to go the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go with the favourites, apparently. I think that both of these teams are very evenly matched right now. So it's a very hard game to pick, and I would not be surprised if I get this wrong. I think Washington can keep it very, very tight. But I am going to go with the Philadelphia Eagles to hand the Commanders back-to-back losses, Eagles by 6. Next up, it is the Chicago Bears at home once again. This time they take on the Green Bay Packers, and the Packers are coming off the bye. They are fresh. They're having a very good season, and the Bears have just fallen off a cliff. Just fallen off a cliff considering that they look like a wild card, even a playoff pick, and now they've just fallen to bits, and I really don't know what's happened to this team. And ever since Caleb Williams came out and said, I'm the best, I'm going to beat the best, all these comments, they've fallen off. I don't trust them at all. A fresh Green Bay team is going to be very good, I think, this week, and I think they will want to get a big sort of road win. So, I am going to tip the Green Bay Packers to kill the Chicago Bears and win 21 points. I'm tipping Green Bay Packers to win by 21. I think the Bears know their season is over. They're going to just throw the towel in, sort of give up here. I mean, they couldn't even score a touchdown against New England at home. So here, the Packers win way too well. Next up, it is the Detroit Lions taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Detroit Lions had no business winning that game against the Houston Texans. They are my tip for the Super Bowl, and I can't change it because right now they are playing some extreme levels of football. They were behind, 23-7, 16 unanswered points to tie the game, then win the game. Absolutely crazy. Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions in the game and still was able to lead his team to a victory. It was a very entertaining game. Houston blew it. They can't play like that against... Well, I mean, the Jags, they don't even have Trevor Lawrence. Mac Jones will come in at quarterback. He gets his shot. And that pushes Jacksonville's odds to a lot higher. But I feel like Mac Jones isn't... I know he's not the greatest, flashiest quarterback in the world, but he's got a point to prove here. And he is someone who was a regular starter in the NFL just a couple of seasons ago. So, I think that the Detroit Lions win this. But I think it's going to be closer than people think. So I'm going to go the Detroit Lions to win by 12. I think they can win by that less than 14 margin. Saw them put that 40, 50 big score lines a couple of weeks ago. But I just have this feeling Jacksonville can turn up, take a bit of a contest. But in the end, Detroit score too many points. Maybe in that second quarter where they've been so dominant this year besides last week against the Houston Texans. But Detroit to beat Jacksonville, whose season was over months ago, by 12. Next up, it is the Miami Dolphins taking on the Raiders, and after a good performance against the Bills, they were able to get the win against the Los Angeles Rams as an underdog in LA. And now they take on at home the Las Vegas Raiders, who I'm pretty sure the Vegas Raiders had the bye last week. They're like 4 or 5 losses in a row. They played well against the Chiefs a few weeks ago, but ever since then, they've just really fallen off. And I just don't see this team putting in a great performance. They want to make trades. They're not releasing players who want to be released. So it's all falling apart for the Vegas Raiders. And that's why I think the Dolphins win here. They should win by a massive margin. But I think a lot of teams this week will keep their games close. And maybe fresher off the bye, their defense is a bit better. I'm going to go the Dolphins to win this one, back-to-back wins by 8 points. Next up, it is the New England Patriots back at home taking on the LA Rams. And the LA Rams, they need to be better than they were against the Miami Dolphins because their offense was not all that great in that game. So they need to get it firing here against New England, who, I think they've won 2 of their last 4. So they're really riding some confidence after a poor start to the season. They've started to turn things around. They remind me of the Detroit Lions a couple of years ago, a team that you wouldn't expect to be there. They're starting to move themselves up the ladder, getting a few nice wins, and maybe in a year or two, we're going to see them fall back into a very good competitive team. That's the vibe I'm getting right now from New England. But it's going to be tough to beat this Rams team. Ever since they got their players back from injury, all but last week, they have been in some great form. They beat Seattle. They lost to Miami. They had a win the previous week. I forget who it was against. But in this game, I am going to go the Rams to bounce back here on the road. I'm going to go the Los Angeles Rams to beat New England by 12 points. Next up, it is the New Orleans Saints at home looking to go back-to-back victories up against the Cleveland Browns. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the Browns also had the bye last week. I think they were. I don't think they played. They have not been great, and even in their games, they've been getting blown out. And look, there are moments where they turn up this season, albeit they're having a very poor season. The Saints started well, have fallen off a cliff, but for this game, the Saints are favourites. I'm actually going to go the Browns. I think the Browns can turn up, put something together here. I think that they can get a win. I feel like they're one of those teams that when people don't want to tip them is when you tip them. And this feels like a spot to tip them, to not tip them. So that's why I'm going to tip them. There you go. A bit of reverse psychology for you. I'm going to go the Cleveland Browns to win by 1 point. Just get a feeling that they're going to sneak a win here. Kind of like Pittsburgh last week. Let's see if we can go back-to-back in these upsets. Speaking of Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Steelers at home will take on the Baltimore Ravens, and this is going to be an epic matchup. The Steelers have a great record in recent years against the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens were able to get a victory from 14 down against the Bengals. Almost went into overtime. Almost lost the game. The Bengals couldn't convert that 2 points, and the Ravens sneaking away by 1 point. The Ravens have been great this year, but they've also shown very signs of weakness and conceded a lot of points. Now, the Steelers don't have the greatest offense in the world, but they have an incredible defense that we've seen this year, and their record is very, very good in the AFC. They're going to make this matchup very tough against their rivals. I think that the Baltimore Ravens are just going to sneak this win. I feel like this should be a low-scoring game. I don't know why, but I feel like this could be like let's say a 12 to 17, something like that. But I'm going to go the Baltimore Ravens to win by 5. We'll see. If Pittsburgh win this, they are a genuine contender for the AFC Championship. They've been knocking on the door of being a contender for a while this year. This is their moment to prove that they can do it. Can they beat the Baltimore Ravens? Next up, it is the Tennessee Titans taking on the Minnesota Vikings. And I don't have much to say here. I can't remember these teams playing last week. But I think Tennessee either had the bye or lost, and the Vikings won. There you go. The Vikings win this and win well. Tennessee haven't been playing great. They haven't got much of an offense for mine. Minnesota win here by 16. Next up is going to be a great matchup. It is the Denver Broncos at home, who, you probably should have beat us, but you didn't. You didn't. Taking on the Atlanta Falcons, who are coming off a loss last week against the Saints in a bit of an upset there. but have had a really good season for the most part. Both of these teams have been good, but the Atlanta Falcons have been the better team probably this year. I like what I've seen from Denver. I had them +9 a couple weeks ago, and they lost by 31, albeit this season they have really surprised me and gotten things rolling in that AFC for a battle to get a wild card spot. So, in saying that, I think it's an important game for Denver to win. So I'm actually going to go the Denver Broncos to win this one. I'm going to go the Denver Broncos to win by a touchdown, by 7 points in the game. I could see Atlanta winning this for sure. They've had a great year, but I just feel like Atlanta might start to slip away, whereas I think Denver just might start to click into another gear from some things I've seen this year. Next up, it is the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. This should be a close game. Seattle are trying to get their season back on track, but they just can't get the ball rolling to their... They were okay. They weren't great, but they were okay to start the year. Now they've really let things slip away, put themselves into a bad position, and need to go on a winning streak starting now. And then the 49ers, I had them to win by 2. I think I had them by 1 or 2, and I think they only won by 3 points last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team that, they're beaten up. But the Bucs have been playing very well. The 49ers were able to get that win. They should be able to get this win here. Same margin as the previous game. I am going to go the Niners to win by 7 in this one. Next up, it is the Buffalo Bills taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Bills love to beat the Chiefs in the regular season, but when it comes to when it matters in the playoff, we love to knock them out. This is going to be a great matchup. The battle of Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes once again. A couple of our receivers aren't playing their best, and Buffalo have been playing very good. They are at home on a win streak, and they go into this one as quite heavy favourites. The Chiefs are paying $2.10. The last time they were paying about that price was against the 49ers in the Super Bowl rematch, the one we won. We've started the season 9-0. I forget. Yes, 9-0. I had that little song of 8-0 last week. As for this game, Buffalo's going to make this tough for Kansas City, and I think Buffalo are going to stop the rush, which is where Kareem Hunt needs to get less ball, less run yardage, and Travis Kelce has to step up. So does Xavier Worthy in this game. Not the greatest game from him last week by any means, and that is why if those players can stand up, this streak continues. This team is on a roll. We probably should have lost to the Denver Broncos. We find ways to win. I will not be wearing another team's jersey next week. The Chiefs are going 10-0. Kansas City to win a tight matchup, but Kansas City to win by 5 points in this one. Next up, it is the LA Chargers taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, and this game is in LA. The Chargers have been playing very well. The Bengals haven't been winning their games. They've been going win-loss sort of vibe, but they have been playing better, and they've been putting up some high points even when they're losing their game. Joe Burrow has been in fantastic form. He has thrown a lot of touchdowns in recent games, and as I said, the Bengal offense is putting up some points. But these are the games they need to win. Same for the Chargers. Both of these teams are looking for a sort of wild card spot. More so, the Chargers are in a better position to be in the playoff rather than part of the wild card and finishing sort of lower. But for this game, it's a very tough one to tip. I'm going to tip the Bengals in what I think is an upset. I'm going to go the Bengals to upset the Chargers at home. I think they've been playing well. I think they can get this win. And I think that their defense has been getting better in recent weeks. I know last week it wasn't all that good, but their defense is getting stops, doing what's needed. The Bengals to win by 7 in this game. I kind of expect it to be tighter, but I'm going to go by 7. I think the Chargers are probably due a loss, and I think this is the week that the Bengals beat them. Is the New York Jets hosting the Indianapolis Colts, and I can't get a read on either of these teams. The Jets were absolutely smacked up by the Cardinals last week. I think I had the Cardinals win by 10. I think they ended up winning by like 24. The Jets have been really poor, and every week they go in as favourites. As for this game, they go in as favourites again, and I'm sick of seeing it. But my gut tells me at home that this is actually a week where they can get a win against an Indianapolis Colts team that is struggling. So I'm actually going to go the Jets to win this one by a decent-ish margin. Jets to win by 9. I'm sick of this team being favourites, but this week I think as a favourite, I'm going to pick them, and I think they'll win. Last game of Week 10, we'll see the Dallas Cowboys versus the Houston Texans. Now, the Dallas Cowboys were awful against the Eagles. They've got nothing left this season, no firepower at all. I don't know what this team is going to do for the rest of the year besides sit back, not play, and kick field goal. But they take on a Houston Texans team that really probably thought they were in a position to get a win at home in front of their fans. Blew that win in the end, and they need to be better here. They're coming off back-to-back losses. Can they fire up and beat the Dallas Cowboys? Yes, because the Dallas Cowboys are shit. Houston Texans are going to win and win well. They could win this game by 20, but I'll play it a bit safer and say that the Texans win by 13 points. Those are my tips for week number 11 of the NFL. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. Like this video. Let me know your NFL tips in the comments below. Hopefully we can have another great week. We are only averaging about 2 games wrong per week, having a phenomenal season of tipping. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Enjoy your NFL this week, and I'll see you guys next week when I'm there in America.